there. You're on there. We will close this. We will go to here. Bingo. And then I now have to stop that screen share. And now share a new one. This one. Done. That's in the background. You mute here. We mute you here. Hola, senor. What's up, dude? This is episode 25 of Live on the Kaspa Standard. 100% of the way to a quarter. I gotta figure some stuff out. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. When I have the spaces window up, I start glitching on my screen. I don't glitch on the actual feed, but I glitch on my screen. And then when I drop it, I don't glitch. So it's just a visual thing that messes me up because I think that, like, the stream's not being produced well. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know. You're looking a little shaggy, bro. You don't have a beard barber out there? Do you ever color your hair? It's awesome. Hysterical. What? Oh, yeah. As a red kid, my red turns white, so I can't wait to have my Santa Claus beard. Are you kidding me? I have a good shape that grows in. My beard. When I trim, I literally have to cut off like 3 hairs. So like I have a pretty dope beard, but it has to stay close to my face because the bigger I do, it grows on top of itself. It doesn't grow down like yours, and I can't even brush it down. Like nothing sticks. I have to go down. No, I can't have a long beard. It just grows on top of itself. It gets hot. That's what's up. Well, speaking of good, again, let's just throw it out there. It is episode 25 of Live on the Kaspa Standard. I'm Bishop at LOTKS.kas. That's Juan at Glitchin888. We're live right now on X Spaces at Glitchin888. We're live on X Video at Live on the Kaspa S. We're also live on YouTube, youtube.com/ at Live on the Kaspa Standard. And we're on VVOR, vvor.xyz/channel/TWTakes podcast. The stream's not doing too well on VVOR. There's a transcoding issue. I'll keep an eye on that on the laptop, but everything looks good elsewhere on YouTube and X Spaces. So, um, we're live in the Kaspa Standard. If you want to hit us with an energy exchange donation, we're LOTKS.kas or live on the Standard.kas. We have a couple other links in the description of the episode if you'd like to help the show out or send some love to the Kaspa community. We're Get It Better Melts. We're promo code LOTKS, 50% off. It's a Kraken code if you haven't tried. If you haven't actually invested in Kaspa, I trust Kraken when it comes to investing fiat into crypto. And we also have our promo codes for the premium version of CastMap, castmap.org. Use promo code Juan or Bishop to unlock premium. And we also have our social links in there. We have myself, we have Juan, we have the show for Twitter, but we also have our TikTok to see our awesome clips and our Instagram for clips as well. So just follow us on all social media like you do for every other show. Make sure you subscribe, like all that good stuff. We are live on the Kaspa Standard. This is episode 25. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Another Monday. We're back on Monday. Last week was Tuesday. We're back on Monday, 4/13. Yeah, man. How's your Monday?
The fingers. That's not the way we look at stuff here, for the most part. Happy to be here. Like I said, this is medicine. This is medicine every single week, brother. Get the week going. Get the week going. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I would just realize that I didn't do the audio the right way for your portion of the podcast. I didn't add the X spaces to stage. I had the audio was working, but we're good now. We're good now. See, you know what we are? We're just two guys who are sorry. We're two worlds experiencing guys figuring out this podcast game. Um, so just a little technical glitch, but all good, man. All good. No, it's you're right, man. I think I told you last week, man. Like I don't even know what day it is. I don't even know what
Yeah.
it is. You
I
know?
like I like that you told me that, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And it usually again is part of mental sovereignty. Like that used to bug me out. Where'd all the
Mm,
time go? It's not where all the time went. It's like where. Oh, this is so not who I've been. It's not where the time is. It's what are we doing right now? You know, like it
yeah.
really is. It really is. I've never, again, never in my life have felt that way. Where it's like, there's always a panic of the past or a panic of the future. Oh, we didn't get that done. Oh, we have to do that thing. Um, there's a bunch I still have to do to this rental property, and sometimes I can only be up there for 2 hours. Sometimes I can be up there for 8 hours. Sometimes I can be up there. Yesterday I was up there for 6 hours, and I only did two things. But those only things that I did were they weren't like actually planned out. So the truth is, even though it was two things, the amount of time it took to do them was 5 hours because that's how long it was going to take. I didn't plan it out to do it in 30 minutes. I just thought it would take 30 minutes, but I didn't realize everything that had to be done within it. And that's where that's something I realized yesterday because I was driving home. I sent you a voice note. I was driving home, but right before that, like um, I was a little like just recalculating. I'm like, man, I was up there for a while. Like, I only fixed the garage door and fixed that one light. But again, not knowing the actual issues, the light that I fixed, it wasn't just a matter of like changing a light bulb. I had to rewire a switch, but when I went to rewire the switch, I had to change out the box. And when I changed out the box, there was a depth issue of putting in the new box, so I had to figure out a way to make up for that depth. All of that takes time. All of that takes time. So if the only thing I did was those two things, it's because that's how much time those took, as opposed to beating myself up for only getting two things done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, and you're speaking to how a lot of people typically just operate, right? I've shared it on the show, but just to kind of give a little bit of structure to what my framework is and what I've been practicing on a daily basis. I got to shout out my man David Bayer. I listen to his, he does a 15-20 minute clip every single day, and he's just been in my algorithm, and I've really been channeling, making sure that I'm in the right energy to get going with my day. And he talks about this formula, right? The formula is desire plus non-resistance equals desired result. And it didn't make a ton of sense to me to begin with, but like most things, when I hear him, I'm like, but that resonates. It feels like, okay, there's something here. So in applying that, and he has another beautiful concept that has completely allowed me to go, like you talk about, oh shit, I was out there for like 6 hours, but I only got two things done. And that in a sense is you're, like there was a study done by, I think it was Stanford. There was some study done in 2009 that tracked these musicians playing the piano, and it measured their what was happening in their brain and how like they processed it, right? And so they were, while they were playing the piano, and it showed what was firing in their brains. And then they just had then they had these group of musicians just imagine that they were playing the piano, and the brain processed it the same exact way. So speaking to that, right? It's like your thoughts are so powerful, and we act like it's almost not that big of a deal when we talk to ourselves a certain way, right? So I've been very cognizant of that, and I know I've shared. It's like I have 20 years of this practice, right? It doesn't mean I don't ever go back into those states. I just don't stay there very long because I have all these tools that I can go to and just like get myself out of it, right? So that's really what it is. And speaking to that, bro, like thinking of the relationship that we've had and the conversations that we've been able to have over the past, is it 24 weeks, right? Because we did two shows one week. But just even being a part of this community, and being like, okay, how can I serve? What can we do here? And just seeing like your evolution, bro, and mine too. Like I feel like I've grown so much over the past 8 months. I'm like, what can we continue to do to serve this community, and in general, just serve people, right? So what I've noticed that's really helped me produce these big weeks in the last couple weeks is really desire plus non-resistance. So like not resisting what is there and accepting it, and then just like really the conversations that I'm having with myself to understand like there's a bigger goal that I don't know what it looks like, but I know that I can only operate and create that from here. So then the component that gets me out of like a state like that when I'm being too fucking hard on myself is realizing that I'm either in, again, this is from David Bayer, but you're either in a primal state or a powerful state, right? And in a primal state, so primal states are like when you're anxiety, you're kind of like what you talked about, maybe shit, I should be doing this, or you just don't feel good, to make it simple. A powerful state is exactly what you think it is, but it's also like even being calm. So you create from the powerful state. So I've just in listening to David Bayer and how he breaks this stuff down, I think it just applies, and I'm amazed that the dude isn't as well known, because some of the things that he's talking about, I think, applies to a lot of the concepts with this protocol, bro. Like with Kaspa being a decentralized, bounded by energy protocol, where we're going to store our time and energy. And a lot of people haven't made that connection just yet, right? It's the people within within the protocol that see it. But I do see it as like our responsibility to speak more on that, because on this show, one of the big concepts is like your mental sovereignty and how you can find that with whatever you're doing, right? It's not about being an entrepreneur or going out here making the most money you can make. It's like, how can you find that peace within yourself to operate and create and go do what you're meant to go do, and do it from a place of, not suffering, right? So that's been a key component in like what I've seen with us. We got some, we have some ideas here in terms of building community around that, and offering, more of this for others out there. Not just within cast, but we want this message to spread, bro. But it's gonna bring people here when they start going deeper within, and being like, what's, where are the community, where are the people talking about this stuff? Not just about the fucking price of these assets and shit like that. We're going layers in. That's where we're taking it, brother. but it's about having a good fucking time. All right. I haven't said this in a while. What's the purpose of life, Bishop? The purpose of life is to fucking be alive, man. Just like, let's have a good time. Let's have a good fucking time while we're doing it, man. You only create from like that energy. You only create from there. So mm, yeah, real. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, it does make sense, man. Yeah, isn't I mean, public speaking, isn't it one of like it's feared more than death, right? There's no sound on this. We had something like that a couple weeks ago with me, right? Like you had to kind of
Fucking mic is muted. Jesus Christ. You
now
can
it's
hear me,
unmuted.
but you can hear me on
I can
Spaces?
hear you. Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
So the Spaces
100%.
was working. How was the Spaces working, but the damn microphone wasn't? My goodness. My goodness. Well, appreciate IT Cyberspace for stepping in there. He can hear Juan. Med C. I don't want to mispronounce that, but shouts to Med. No sound for a while, but
Medoshi.
appreciate you hanging around. Now we got it. Okay.
Wait.
My goodness. You know what tripped me up? The fact that you could hear me on the Spaces. And we were communicating. That's son of a bitch. 10 out of 10. We did it now. We did it now. See?
Let's go.
See? All good. All good. Oh my goodness. You know what? I had to mute the mic because I had stage fright. That's what it was.
That's what it was. That's what it was. We worked through it. We worked through it. Now you're in a powerful state.
My
We're
goodness.
good. We're good. We're alive. We're here
Hell
now.
yeah. We are live on the Kaspa Standard, episode 25. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's
So
go.
what am I going to have to do now? Am I going to have to marry the audio up, or do we just leave that as is? You know? We're
good, brother.
Just
We're
leave
good.
it? All right, because I could
Yeah,
download the
yeah.
X Spaces and do all that, but I think the comments exist as such as we are here and this is what we are. I mean, look, life is imperfect. The show's imperfect, but we're here creating this community and really fucking getting after it. So I have no
Showing up,
clue.
brother.
Yeah, it's
Showing
showing
up
up.
no matter what. This is life right here. We're working through it, right? Now we're gonna show like non-attachment to what the fuck happened and just gotta steamroll through this shit, bro. You
So
know,
let me
that's
ask
it.
you. You did mention I think I asked you this yesterday in a voice note, but we were talking about so many different things we didn't latch on to. But that comment or the phrasing, right? Desire plus non-resistance equals desired result. Can you explain what the resistance means to you?
Yeah, so that's anything that comes. So here's the thing, right? I've operated from a place of, I have it on my profile, like attached to nothing, connected to everything. So for me, what that means is if I'm really practicing presence and I'm gonna be able to navigate my life, I have to be able to be in whatever's presenting itself. So non-resistance means like I do not judge what I'm in any way or any capacity. So what it allows me to do, it allows me to like navigate a conversation, a situation with like this complete peace and just find find connection in everything that I do. So non-resistance is just accepting whatever is so, right? And I'll take it to another way to process that, because some of you are probably thinking like, well, what if I don't want that to happen? Yeah, that's it. Doesn't mean like you don't say, it doesn't mean you accept it and it's like, oh, that's how it has to be. You can say, oh, but I don't like this. I'll accept, okay, this is what it is. I don't like it, but it's how it has to be. There's no other way. And you guys can probably relate to moments in time, like the whole concept of whatever you resist persists. You ever notice that? Like things
Hmm.
that you continue to fucking not accept continue to come up, right? I can think about some of the relationships like I was in, and maybe I was guilty of this, just like thinking like, oh, this is gonna happen, and not and going there and thinking about that too much. Eventually, that shit happens. So and as soon as you let go of something, even if you don't like it, a lot of times it just fucking takes care of itself, right? You asked me a couple weeks ago, like, what happens if you have a to do list
Yeah.
and you have like fucking 10 things on there and only two things get done? Like my mindset with that is like those two things were the most important things that needed to get done. And then you find yourself like navigating situations and problems with flow, and you
Yeah.
end up doing the most important things, right? Because you get yourself in these situations and these patterns of just getting taken care of what you need to take care of. And then that's where like then you get into flow states. That's where I was a good chunk of this past week. I mean, I feel like I'm still there. But it's just like I tried to turn on a movie yesterday and like chill, American Gangster. And I was just like, oh no, this isn't my frequency. And then I just went to like I'm building a site for something we plan on launching here. But I went in and I've never built a site before, but like in like 4 or 5 hours, I got a lot of shit done. Because I'm in that flow state, right? I'm in that state of just what's in front of me, take care of it, like navigate it. So yeah, long-winded answer on how I look at that. So again, it's not necessarily like being happy about what's in front of you, but just accepting it and then just like not trying to change what it is, and then moving through that with acceptance, right? So it's not our you've often and I've mentioned like how important it is to definitely have goals and be like, well, what does it look like, and think about that, but think about it in a way that it's going to, well, it's something that you desire and it draws it to you. So the only way to really do that with, because I've had this happen, bro, where I've set these goals, and when I did not stick to, oh, I probably need to fucking wait a year for this. I'm just like not attached to the time and how it can happen. I find myself navigating shit and like making things happen before, like I think it's the reason I've been able, being an entrepreneur and in business, like I've been able to create deals where I've made fucking like 50 grand in a day,
Right.
you know, or I've made 100 grand in a week, and I've made fucking a mil in a year. So, and I don't come from that, but a lot of that is just the practice of understanding that time isn't like, let's fucking tie Caspa into this. That's what the reason Caspa I love the design of the block tag. Is to me the block tag mirrors more of my life. It's just like it takes the orphan blocks and and it takes everything to an account, and then it gives you that truth 10 blocks per second, right? And it's like um it doesn't constrain you to like linear time, which is like what Bitcoin is, like 10 blocks per second. Like this is the only way that it's done. It's like I don't that's not the way I've operated in my life. Like I think 150 years ago, I'm not able to create the way I've been able to create because of the internet's here, because opportunity is the way it is. Like my lineage and where my, I don't know my biological father, but I look at like my family, and I'm one of the people that broke the chain of all this fucking suffering, right? And a lot of that happened because of the opportunity that we have and like the mindset that I had. So I was able to be like the first person in my family to go to college, the first person to do a lot of things, man. And a lot of that happened because of like where we are in with technology, dude. It's just like during COVID when everybody in the world was like, "Oh shit, things are fucking horrible." Like, bro, that I made the most money in my life. I created a fucking business that like served people, and I got rewarded financially for that. So that's why Caspa makes sense to me, man. I don't know if I linked it there for people to really get it, but it's just like again, we've spoken to the culture of what it is within this protocol, and again, Caspa being a noun to an idea. To me, this is a very spiritual, very energetic type of connection that I have with the protocol, and that's layers deep, man. That's why I see past the nominal figure. I see what it can create potentially, right, for humanity, and being able to move your time and energy to a protocol like this that's bounded by energy, decentralized. Give credit to Bitcoin for starting the idea, but like it resonates with. I put a clip out right with Silver, with the interview that we did with Silver, about how it's like the culture here is like it's that cypherpunk thing. I didn't know about that back then. I was too busy trying to fucking make it and do something with my life, right? But I got to a place where it's like, okay, do I have to keep doing this? Like I made money. I think I've made enough to be good. Then I realized, oh shit, it's not just about that, right? It's not, because money just amplifies who you are as a person. Some people think like, oh, once I get here, once I get that, once I achieve this, then fucking life is, and it's not. It just doesn't. I'm speaking from experience. Like it just amplifies who you are, who you become in the process. And fortunately, I've been able to slow down, take my time, take a look at things, and really fucking be able to get into my gifts. And that's why I'm here, bro. Like, I lived a pretty quiet, peaceful life, like not on social, but I do see what's coming, and I feel a responsibility. This is a pulling, bro. This is like a calling to have these conversations, and to do it despite what the fuck they're saying out here. I shared with you, like I hadn't gone on a spaces, and I went on a Bitcoin
Yeah,
space.
yeah,
I went on a Bitcoin space, and I'm like, there was, I forget who was on there, but somebody from Kaspa was, talking shit to these Bitcoiners, and I was just listening in. And then he's like, Juan, get on here and cook them. Well, he called me Juan. He's like, Juan, get on here and cook them. I'm like, no, man, I'm just here listening. Then I asked the guys, well, why do you guys hold Bitcoin? Like, and one of the dudes was like, well, I don't want my kids to be like, why didn't you get Bitcoin? And to me, again, that's such a surface level answer. It's like you're a man with kids, and that's the reason you have Bitcoin.
You should also know why you didn't get Bitcoin. I have no
Right.
problem telling my son why I'm not in Bitcoin. I tell him all the time.
No, it's just again we're gonna go we're gonna go deep into this, bro. It's like to me again this speaks to how I've navigated my life, right? And I
Yeah.
just think we have gone through this phase where it's like it's fucking not okay to be a man and support and provide for your family and take care of your family, and it's just like that's what I've done. I'm a fucking like I got getting Bitcoin just so my son's no, dude. Like he knows he's gonna be 13, but he knows why I'm in Caspa, and he knows about the energy of it. Like we have, he may not understand everything fully, but just what I'm speaking to, like getting on that space, I was just like, because I got into it, and then eventually the dude was like, "Hold up, Juan," and then he, tried to speak some Spanish, and then the other guy was saying, Juan, you're cooking, you're cooking. I'm like, bro, what am I? I'm wasting my time on here, bro. Like the energy was just, that's not where I want to be, bro. I want to be lifting people up and looking at how, we can help people out. So that's what that was a space on Saturday. And like I got off of there. I remember Alexander got on there really quick and tried to ask a question. And then some moron was talking shit, being fucking really disrespectful. And I'm like, yeah, what am I doing here? Let me go fucking create. So that's where getting on this website and talking to you, what we talked about started right after that. So
That's amazing, and that's what it's like to live on the Kaspa standard. Again, we're live on the Kaspa standard. We try to be here every Monday, sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Thursday, and occasionally on a Friday.
Friday, one time we did a Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Yeah. But we come here through that mindset of what. Again, I've said this before. People find Kaspa when what they're in crypto for fails for them, and part of what failed for me in Bitcoin, or even just the crypto community, was Bitcoin spaces, right? What kind of energy is existing there? What type of conversation is existing there? You go into NFT spaces and you hear, and this, separate from Bitcoin ones, but in Bitcoin ones, you're getting this adversarial energy, agree with us or die type shit. And then you go into the NFT spaces and you're hearing these, grandiose trading card ideas that seem to be absent of truth, right? Like there's a value. If it cost me 1,000 to mint this NFT and it's only worth 30 right now, what's the point of playing this game? You want to harness yourself in an asset and then play the game. You would like to at least maintain some type of equity in what you're doing. Like those kind of things, like just really just pushed me away. And every once in a while, like, yeah, I'll click on a space here and there because you only get recommended the spaces that your community are in. So some of the people who are listening to us now have been in other spaces. So I click on it because they're in there, and I'm like, I can't do this. And it just doesn't do it for me. I can't speak on spaces anymore. I just can't. There's, if I was to hop on the blockchain banner guys and they had something to, that I would chime in on, I'd request to speak. But there's these. I wish the communities would be more open to conversation so we can flourish all together. But you're right, man. You hop into a space and you get met with debate, and it's not. I mean, we're not even reading the same books, And this isn't even a Kaspa end all be all, or Caspians are smarter than the rest. It's, again, as we've mentioned on this show, it's operating in truth. It's operating in truth.
Yeah.
I want my son to say, "Hey, Dad, why don't we have Bitcoin?" And I'm gonna tell him,
exactly. We can get into the reason.
It's too fucking expensive. if I put all our money in there, it would cost half of it to get it out. I just can't do it. It's not worth it. It's not adaptable enough for the regular person. I can't invest in Bitcoin, son. I'm sorry. But what I can do is continue to search for sound money and do it in a thing like Kaspa. But it doesn't have as much money as Bitcoin. You're right. It doesn't. But as something I said to you yesterday in a voice note, the only thing crypto enthusiasts cannot do with crypto, name everything you can do with crypto, from build NFTs to send money back and forth to store value, all this shit. The number one thing that we as a community cannot do, or mostly as an individual, the number one thing we can't do is change the price. Right? As a community, you can, because you can get around it and continue to utilize and find ways to change the price, sure. But if you're going to sit on here and talk about the one thing you can't change as an individual, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. So we stopped talking about price a lot of episodes ago. Price action, fear and greed, kind of like when things move a certain way, is there a feeling associated with it? Maybe. But no, saving in sound money that is cryptographically secure so you can feel confident that you're not being debased, that's enough for me. Now, can we figure out the factors on the outside? And we are.
Yeah.
And we are. But money-wise, what does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's like most people don't want to go to the real conversation. The truth is we have to exist in both in the system, right? So it's like when you start asking the questions and you start understanding that, that's what leads you to be like, oh, this is why Bitcoin's here, right? And then that you just keep asking the questions. And I went on the space and started asking, I'm like, okay, these. I just noticed I felt like my in another way to put it, but like I felt like my power on there. I felt like my presence because the entire room like shut up and didn't have like concrete depth in any of their answers because I was like, hey, why do you guys hold it? It was very surface level, right? So we've just been in a conversation where we get to some depth, right? And fucking I hosted Beneath the Surface, right? Like that's what I named that, and that was a beautiful show. And just like the deeper and deeper you go, the more and more you separate yourself just from looking at this shit in nominal terms. Right now, at the same time, you have to acknowledge where we talk about meeting people where they're at. So that's what this is, bro. Like we have the opportunity to be a bridge for people, um, and create a space for people to come where it's like think about the energy that you feel when you're listening to us or when you're having conversation with us. Like that's what it's about. We had remember when we had Matt Manning on here. Matt Manning's a Bitcoiner, and I listened back to that episode. He talked about a book that I think is very relevant to like what's happening in the world. The book was called Hospicing Modernity, and it speaks to what is happening with our systems. Right, the systems are collapsing. We're seeing the chaos. We're seeing like the wars fucking being started. We're seeing all that shit, and we're it's at its breaking point, right? And this is like history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, right? And how many people are actually going to take? How many people have the time, right? How many people have the time being on their fucking hamster wheels to actually go back and see what's actually happening and compare it to what we're being faced with? So it's like I've gone deep enough to be like, oh, okay, I see what people mean when they say one Bitcoin's one Bitcoin and one Caspa's one Caspa. And you've spoken about how you go ahead and DCA into the protocol, and you've spoken on the energy of what that does for you, right? Where it's just like you're not tied to the price of it because you realize like we're still in this system. It's just this is an opt out from that. And if you're just looking at the price in it and you fucking do something stupid, right? Where okay, you do have to take into account like what is your proof of work? How much fiat have you earned? We know what we know about fiat, right? That's lost 98% of its value over the course of 100 years. It's just a slow roll in terms of it, going down in terms of purchasing power. And then it takes another layer of fucking depth to understand like, oh, okay, that's what Bitcoin measured um, for all these years. And the reason it went up in nominal terms is because like we printed 80% of the money in circulation when fucking shit collapsed. And like we weren't allowed to go outside or be 6 feet away from each other, right? Most people it was fucking 6 years ago. Most people have already forgotten that, right? And this shit's just accelerating, right? And it's a math thing, it's a numbers thing. How many people actually know like the total debt of the fucking world? It's 320 trillion plus, something like that. And we're not producing but a third of it. And then we have all this technology. Like technology is designed to be deflationary, meaning what technology naturally does is it spreads in terms of it being beneficial to the masses, and it's trying to make things cheaper. So that whole concept, right? Like a lot of people don't necessarily understand it or resonate with it or get it. Um, that's I know that that's kind of my path and my responsibility. So I want to continue to speak on that and to meet people where they're at and to bridge that gap. So I do see myself as somebody who could provide community around that support to like leaders of their families, men, women, like just people that see that hey, there's something here. I don't feel aligned. Like, how can I navigate this? And you don't have to do it alone. Like, I haven't done any of this shit alone, right? Like, I've had really good people in my corner, and that matters. It matters. Like we vibe in the same frequency fucking all week. That's why we go back on these voice. And I've shared like I don't do 10-minute voice notes or 5 minute voice notes with just anybody. I can't. Very, very selective on who I do that with. But I could do it here. And I see my man Seb in here. I see the KII. these guys come in and they're in this conversation because it's like, to me, time is fucking irrelevant. Like when you're speaking on truth and you're getting energy from this. Like I get energy from these conversations, bro. And it just aligns me into that frequency and keeps us in flow. And again, I've spoken to this. This is what people want. This is what people want. They want to vibe in this energy. And it takes getting into like some depth to understanding it, right? And having some, what do I say? Be humble, be kind, give it time. That's hard I get it. It's hard. And what we see is the stuff on the surface. We see the battling, the back and forth. We see what's happening in the world, yeah, but I'm a big proponent that we do have an opt-out in terms of where to move our time and energy. And this is one of those places, right? Where we can do that. And it's a beautiful fucking thing, man. So more people are going to be looking for this over time. They're going to have the archives of these past 24 episodes and this the 25th. And it's only a matter of time, man, because the fucking system is collapsing on itself, man. It just is.
Yep.
And it's
as much as, people will find Kaspa when what they want in crypto fails for them. People will find crypto when the fiat continues to fail for them, when the debt-based system continues to take advantage of them, when those in control of the debt-based system continue to make choices that affect us. I came on here a couple of weeks ago mentioning how the gas prices went up just because two countries decided to fist fight each other with bombs. Right? Like, had they not done that, us as citizens would be more thankful. But also, there's ways that they can bring the price of oil down as well, and they're choosing not to do that. So the inability for these true market makers to manipulate their audience, if you will, that's where sovereignty comes from. That's where getting into sound money comes from, and continuing to rely on these systems that are set up to take advantage of the people who use them. It's fucking wild to me. So being unlocked with mental sovereignty, back in September, and continue to have these conversations through Kaspa, it's really fucking cool, And again, and I'll be honest with the community. There's so many things that pop up on the timeline all the time. A lot of cool projects, it looks like, and then I go and I try to entertain them, and it doesn't feel right. The frequency doesn't hit. And these are Kaspa projects. So I'm not here just to blindly follow Kaspa. I'm not here to just say that this is end all be all, it's going to win and all that stuff. I do think it will be the most utilized, but it's not about that, man. It's about staying frequency aligned to stay within what sovereignty looks like. So everything that you're talking about is about doing your part on the side of what exists through this debt-based system. Build your fiat, be smart, take care of your family. But part of that is finding that way to entertain what sound money and sovereignty looks like. There was a tweet that went out. I give her a quick shout out. Satsy Siren, right? She came out on the Kaspa Twitter like a week or two ago, and for all purposes seemed like she enjoyed the interactions. She's not hostile at all. There's some good back and forth. I don't know what her plans are. I haven't followed her really, but every once in a while the community still retweets her stuff. So she had this one question to Kaspa community. In Bitcoin, we aim to accumulate 1 Bitcoin. Is there an equivalent Kaspa target to aim for? And again, a lot of community members had great suggestions, but mine.
What were they?
Oh, well, the mathematical equivalent, or 1 million or something. So like, what's the percentage of 1,366 equals 1 Bitcoin, right? Because that's the.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And then 100,000, 1 million, just for round numbers, kind of went out there. It's stuff we've all kind of heard before. And everyone kind of has their own individual investment goal when it comes to a number. I'll be honest. My very first one was 100,000 because I didn't have a lot of money to put into it. And once I got 100,000, I realized it doesn't change my life. Nothing's happened. And then we started talking, and you're like, well, no, what you're doing is you're saving in sound money. So it's not And I'm not advising everyone to take their savings accounts and putting in the Kaspa. I'll never do that. But when it comes to this extra money I have left over, can I see what it looks like when I save in sound money? The $10 buy-ins, right? Every day, $10. What does that look like? What does that look like? Okay, the 300 that I bought yesterday is now worth $15 because I was only able to buy 200 today. That's pretty fucking cool. So you have to play with that. You have to get yourself situated to understand like what that energy exchange is. So that was her question, and my answer was no, that there isn't a goal to hit for. I said you're saving in sound money that has utility. Your goal should be to invest without fear of debasing. Then use Kaspa for what you want Kaspa to be. If you want it to be store of value, you're good. If you want it to be peer-to-peer cash, you're good. If you want to use it for an NFT marketplace, you can. So, or support other developmental projects. It's almost limitless, and that's my feeling when it comes to investing in Kaspa. Is that you took the guides of what people love Bitcoin for. Again, like it's not just what Bitcoin was supposed to be. The reason why people loved Bitcoin is because it was supposed to be, right? That's why people were enthralled with what Bitcoin was capable of, because what it was supposed to be. That's why they're like, fuck it, I love this Bitcoin thing. Okay. Kaspa still operates there. It still operates in
without being, sovereignty as a service, right? That's one of the things out there.
So when you look at it that way, because it's not, again, this isn't just a blind trust in Kaspa, right? This is looking at the utility, looking at how it's built, which is incredibly similar to Bitcoin in its genesis, right? But then they algorithmed it to be a better version for what proof of work, right? Decentralized, bound by energy, right? So it's built on the principles, but built better. Okay. So then you figure your part out in investing in Kaspa and see what that feels like for you. So that will forever be my advice, because that's all I can truly understand it as.
Yeah, man, I think you hit a bunch of great points there, because it's that question of like what should be the target. That's different for everybody depending on how you want to live your life, right? I think a huge lesson for me in seeing the nominal, like I was in a place 2 years ago where I literally hit, we'll call it in the fiat debt based system, I hit targets where I'm like, I should be good. I don't think I need to make any more money. So like and I had Bitcoin, right? I had Bitcoin. And the goal, and what I think I learned over the past couple of years in diving into these protocols is like, oh, it's not about like this final destination. It's like, how do you want to vibrate? What frequencies do you want to be on when you're navigating your life? And what is that about, right? Like going in and asking the deeper questions. For me, like that's where it took me, because it just, again, I got to this place and I was I'm a pretty good dude, and I'd done some pretty deep inner work to really find peace in all the chaos. And then it's like, oh shit, but I don't I've made money, I've worked really hard for it, but why am I doing it, and what's the system that I'm operating in? And that's where like Bitcoin started making sense to me, right? On a in-depth level. And then taking a look at Kaspa kind of like presented itself, right? And then understanding why people call everything S coins like they do, right? So yeah, I think that question is very, it's pretty typical, very surface level. Like, oh, how many do you need? Because like you're trying to get to, when you ask that question, is, yeah, it's different for a lot of people. There's some people within Caspa that maybe don't have a lot of it, but they understand that, hey, this is where they want to spend their time and energy and build on, right? So, because again, you've spoken to this, right? It's like it moves so quickly and fast, and what's gonna help with the proof of work and Caspa being adopted is things being built to support heavyweight transactions. And Caspa Onion's done a really good job on explaining that part of it. and like having that hit home for me. Um, and people talk about like, when is it going to be adopted? When is it going to get here? It's like, I look at that the same way. Like the reason I hit the goals that I hit, financially before I looked into any of these protocols is because I always operated as if I was already there. Like if you're operating like I'm already there. Like to me, it's like Casp was already adopted in my life. It's already something that I'm implementing in my life, right? It doesn't matter what's happening out there. So because of where it is, like nominally, like you said, I'm not going to give people financial advice, but I look at things from the lens of like where I am in my life, right? So it's like I still need the fiats. I need to convert things into fiat to pay these bills that I'm required to pay in dollars.
Right.
So I'm going to allocate accordingly based off of where I am in my life, right? And that's the advice that I would give for somebody looking to see like, oh, how much should I invest or how much should I put in? You know, we still got to put in proof of work in the other system, right? And then it's like, okay, how much of your energy do you want to? And to me, it's like comparing it to like just look at what the best store of value has been in human history. That's been gold, and like why has it been a great store of value? You gotta go there with it. And yeah, this digital commodity called Kaspa, it's fucking properties. Like when you get to that depth, you're like, what? And then when you understand one Kaspa is one Kaspa, it's just like, okay. But again, the conversations around that is what I definitely do think is important. I just, as a whole, a lot of us aren't really there yet. So
Oh,
we
for
still got to
sure.
meet people where they're at.
And even you saying one Caspa is one Caspa is another brilliant turn of phrase, because the idea that one Caspa is 4 cents or 20 cents or $3, like it truly doesn't matter until the market tells us what one Caspa is capable of, right? If you can buy a pair of socks with one Caspa, then you can buy a pair of shoes with 50 Caspa. You know what I mean? Like it's going to figure itself out when it's done, and it may never be done, but there will be some type of market for what one Caspa actually means to those outside, right? When we have to meet them where they're at, right? That's why I told you, like, oh, my son shovels the driveway. Okay, here's 15 Cas. He's been helping us with the house. He did, I think I mentioned it, like he cut a bunch of stuff down for us, a bunch of trees and like little trees and stuff that he can cut down with a sawzall. Gave him 150 Cas because and I told him the proof of work that you put in was that of you shoveling the driveway 10 times. Like you got after it, man. So thank you for your help. Here's money. Here's Cas for your proof of work. And that's where these things are going to figure themselves out. We had a couple comments in the YouTube. Madasi has said, "Don't you think this great scientific invention called Bitcoin is meant to be the first prototype to test the concept of stateless money and represent the idea to the world?" It's a good thought. There was that Bitcoiner about a month or so ago who put out that video where he's skateboarding through California and he goes through like the genesis of what crypto is, right? And he mentioned like those different stages of where Satoshi got the information to build Bitcoin. You remember that video?
Yeah.
The only thing wrong with the video is that he stopped at Bitcoin because after Bitcoin was made, other protocols then took the essence and built better and further in the same manner in which Bitcoin was created. So I think our buddy here agrees with us. I mean, I love Bitcoin, but it's an unfinished product though. And the truth is, agree and disagree, because Bitcoin itself is finished. They're refusing to develop bigger. They're refusing to grow
on its base layer, right? That's important to say.
Yeah. So as a cryptographic technology, Bitcoin has decided to stay right where it is. And
but people,
the more polished, more finished versions right now at max capacity looks like Kaspa, and there will be more.
Well, here's the thing. We don't know that, right? We don't know that. We're not cryptograph. We're not Jonathan and Michael Sutton. We're not any of those guys. I think it's a beautiful statement and question that he puts out, and talking about, don't you think it's the first prototype? When you look at it from a technological standpoint, right, and you understand there are things that had to come before it and things that will come after it. Yeah, I mean that it's an example of that. Like, what did it solve for? And then, we as a human race, we as humanity, we evolve through everything. But there's a lot of narratives out there that get people to just like, and this isn't just with Bitcoin, this is with everything in general. Assess your life. Where in your life has somebody told you like, oh, that's all you can do, that's as far as it goes? Like, that there's what's that, the mindset of, you either have a growth mindset or like a static mindset. Is that what it is? But it's like, yeah. So I just take a look at, like, I have proof of work in my life over the course of 25 plus years, that I don't take anything for what somebody else tells me it is, right? And I think this technology is an example of that, right? It's like, yeah, if somebody has that opinion, then this thought and how it's looked at is out there. It's just, but also look at the way information, has been processed to the world, right? Like we literally have access to information at the tip of our fingers, like within seconds, that the president of the United States did not have fucking 20 years ago. Like, us as regular citizens, we can like find shit out like that. And if anything, over time, they've tried to, I've looked back at history, man. Again, I've studied the system, and like, this goes all the way back to the Bank of England back in 1694, like when that, this credit was created, right? So credit is money, and that whole, that's a whole nother conversation. We could do a whole show on that shit. But that isn't even understood. Most people don't even know what the fuck money is, or why they're working for it, or what it represents. So I think it's a beautiful question to pose. And it's, if you're, again, if you're looking at this like the way we do, which is, these are nouns to ideas, and you understand we evolve through this, and we always move towards what is easy and convenient. Like, the masses move towards what's the easiest and most adaptable and most convenient. That's what we do, right? And we've been in this control system for fucking ever, right? We've been on this fiat. Yeah, I talked about it, right? People, I mean, did you know what fiat was like 5 years ago? Did you hear that term? Now it's
Zero.
yeah, nobody fucking understood what that shit was. And we're on a currency that is backed literally by faith. Most people think it has worth, but if we stop thinking that it did, and we stopped using it, you want this shit to be adopted, get people to go do bank runs. Like, get enough people to go to the banks and be like, I want my money. It'll shut down the system overnight. They don't want that. Might get shut down on fucking YouTube for even suggesting that shit. So, but it's, yeah, dude.
Gaining some good traction on them short.
Right. Well. I mean, you've seen it happen, bro. You've seen it happen. So, like, whenever there's like too much hope, the control system is going to do that. Now, they can't shut us up on fucking Kaspa, right? The thing is, Kaspa's been around. We're going on 5 years here, 4.5 years, in terms of when the protocol launched. And this information will, it'll cipher through and get through where it needs to get through. But yeah, man, I love that question, and I'm with them. Yeah, I do think it's the first iteration of what it is to have a protocol that's decentralized, bounded by energy, and permissionless, bro. We don't have to ask permission on the base layer, right? And Bitcoin had, by the way, Bitcoin had to do what it did so that Kaspa could come along, right? And speaking of what you're talking about, there might be others. I don't know. I'm so open and aware of what is in front of me that, yeah, I'll if that does come along, I'm never gonna deny it. But I've done this in other areas of my life. It's not just with this, right? So as long as you're a person like that, you are a person who's evolved and understands, like, when you're given new information, you take that new information and you move with it. You don't fucking deny information. So, I've seen people struggle with that their entire fucking lives, bro. Like, I grew up with a bunch of people that are still back right where I grew up, and it's because it's all fucking here and how they thought and what they, dude. I remember a buddy, like, right after college, being like, I was in sales and like going into these ridiculous mansions. And I remember I was like on a sales appointment with him. And in my mind, I was like, damn, I can't wait to like be able to buy a house like this? And he's like, bro, we'll never be able to afford this. And I remember looking at him and being like, I didn't say it out loud, but I'm like, you might not be able to. But that's just how I've always been, bro. Like I don't fucking take what somebody else tells me as my truth, you know? So that's a growth mindset. I think people in Kaspa have growth mindsets,
1,000%.
right?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And open. I mean, you can't grow if you're not open, but that's, yeah. So being open to conversation, being open to truth, being open to a new truth. You know, what's true today might not be true tomorrow. And it's not because what was true is false. It's just mean there's a more perfect version of it today. And that's more than okay. That's what we're striving for. That's what we're striving for. You know, like you said, the amount of information exchange over just the last 20 years is bananas. It's bananas. So,
it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's a lot to process, right? There's a lot coming at people. So I don't fault people for where they're at, you know. And I do. That's why I say be humble, be kind, give it time. But if you're coming at somebody like we're people that I can process them for. I got my practice playing football, being a quarterback, bro.
right.
Like I process information at the line, so I got it from sports, and those are intense. Like I got a lot of training when I was young, and I know that it's helped me in life. So you gotta understand that, like when somebody is coming at you and asking questions, like we gotta be humble, man, and meet people where they are, and calling people retards and morons and all that. Like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
You know, that's been the problem. That's why fucking nobody understands Bitcoin. So that's all the shitty the shitty Bitcoin influencers that they suck. They're horrible at communicating. They're some of the worst. I'll call them salespeople because it's like they don't know how to present it. They're like, you're retarded. They're horrible. Most of them.
Well,
There's only a couple of them that are solid.
Yeah, that's one thing we don't do here is speak in adversity. I mean, or in adversarial natures, we'll speak about adversity and things we have to overcome, but that usually, again, comes from within. Calling someone a retard is expecting a counterpunch. You're expecting that conversation to continue in a negative route. Whenever you throw one up, there's no negative comment that you put out that you would expect it to end things, right? Because you usually can end someone with truth. You know, you usually you're not,
or at least an understand, yeah, or at least like an understanding of the other
you want
side,
to come
right?
with a haymaker, make it true. Haymakers are not false. You know, it's just so you're expecting the return, and that type of energy, man. That's just not where we line, where we try to line up every Monday. You know,
It's like this, bro. It's like I've seen it my entire career in terms of like business people, salespeople, entrepreneurs. I think, again, speaking to like how information is just available to us, 20, 30 years ago, you could bullshit your way through some shit, right? If you were a good talker and like knew how to bullshit, you had to live with that after you left, right? But there was a lot of that. There was so much of that because you could just do that and be somewhat successful. But what goes around comes back around, man. And we're in this era of transparency. We're in this era of like the more you can be honest about what it is for you and for that person, the more you'll be able to bridge that gap and have people understand. So like, you know, I remember being on that listening to that Bitcoin Kaspa debate last July, and one of the Bitcoiners got on there. He's like, well, listen, you guys, you're not selling me. Like, sell me on this. Like, why? He's already done. Like the fact that he needs to be sold, like the first thing I would be like, well, I don't even know if this is for you. Like, are you even open to hearing a different perspective?
that
So that's
yeah.
what, like, listen, bro, I've been a top 1% producer like my entire fucking life. Like I see the difference between, and most people that produce, and I produce most of the business and everything that I've done. So I'm speaking to that. There's not a lot of people necessarily speaking to this. The majority of fucking people battling with each other in this day and age, information is available. So like you're only going to be able to bridge the gap when you meet somebody where they're at,
Right.
and you understand where you're at, and then you communicate. It's not about persuading or selling somebody on something. It's like, how can you fucking educate and bridge the gap so that there's an understanding there, right? That's the reason I'm able to go out here and fucking the fiat world and attract and be able to like find solutions, and value is thrown in my face, and and I'm rewarded with it. But that's the method, right?
For sure.
That's the method of fucking adoption, right? So I'm not going to claim I'm the best salesperson in the world, but I'll fucking shit on all these Bitcoiners all day. Most of them.
Well, you mentioned again meeting people where they're at. What do you say we meet the Twitter Spaces where they're at? We're about to
love it. Love the idea.
Yeah,
love it.
That second half of the show where we invite the audience to participate. That does not mean that your YouTube and live slow.
You like that?
Yeah, YouTube and X, you can still comment. We'll still bring it up. We'll like to invite everyone on the X Spaces to request to speak if you'd like. If not, Juan and I, we will still go. We are live on the Kaspa Standard, episode 25. I'm Bishop at LOTKS.kas. That's Juan at Glitchin888. We're live on YouTube, youtube.com/live on the Kaspa Standard, on Vivor, which there were some struggles there. I sent the Vivor guys a message as to what was going on there. See if they had that figured out by next week. But if you want to check the channel, vivor.xyz/channel/LOTKS.podcast, X Spaces, Glitchin888. Brought to you by BetterMelts. Get BetterMelts.com. Promo code LOTKS for 50% off. Support Kaspa in there, who built some great products. And that's about it. Just check the link in the description for all the other socials and shit like that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So let's see what we got. A live audience today. Some heavy hitters. Appreciate everyone showing up. Got KII in the crowd. We got Crypto Odie. We got Banana. Got George, Seb, Steve H. Nice
leaders, innovators,
yes,
creators,
builders.
Amazing. People moving us forward.
Yeah,
they're all here.
Yeah,
it is the middle of the day, man. Like so they're probably sitting there listening and like coding at the same time. I know that's what Odie's doing.
Depending on where you are.
Odie's sitting there like emailing 500 other Bitcoiners. Do you know about the security budget? I've talked about making his fucking videos. Seb I know is multitasking. Seb's always Seb. That's one of the hardest working men on the planet. Makes time for everybody too, man. So it's like I've gotten a couple of calls with Seb, and it's like I lose track of time.
Well, yeah, we got. Seb and Rory, they're about 5 or 6 hours behind us, right, or ahead of us. So they're about 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We had Wolfie on here, who's 3 hours behind me. You're an hour behind me, but Wolfie, he must have been not Wolfie. Gonzo. Sorry,
Gonzo.
Yeah. I saw Gonzo was in there. He's on the west coast of the U.S. So when you go from Gonzo to Seb, or Gonzo to Rory, we're talking half the globe there, man. It's a beautiful thing. I had mentioned when that lady was talking NFTs, I forget her name. Jennifer. Jennifer came on. She was in the Middle East, and we had Lioness, who was over in Israel at the time. It's like crypto has no time zones, man. We are existing now. We truly are existing right now. And that's crazy. That's part of what's helped me actually understand what presence is. I never had the true ability to be present, because I would always either future trip, hey, why isn't this happening yet? Or be too worried on the past. But then talking to all you guys, the night of the Jake Paul Tyson fight, Onion had that space that you popped in on with on your shroom journey there.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
2, 3 in the morning, or when you guys do blockchain banter, we're up to 3, 4 in the morning. Just it's all without time zones, man. Like we are existing. While we are literally sleeping, Seb is building. While Seb is sleeping, he's probably building. But
yeah, he is.
This thing, it is the most connected people can be. There's that comment about Twitter, really all social media. We're the most in touch but least connected we've ever been. But what's been happening with Kaspa, it really has built a community. And I appreciate Seb for saying that about us. That what we're building is community, and it's something that's needed. And fuck yeah, man. Like I'm so excited to keep doing this every Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, like.
Yeah, we may. I left you a voice note. I'm cool
I
with
heard
talking.
it.
I mean, I don't know if you heard that part of it. I'm like, yeah. I mean, for me, over the course of the past couple of months, it's been like, I've been, just full disclosure, I've been like out of. Again, I haven't really worked or like used this part of my brain, which is, like I look at somebody like Seb, right, or an Odie too, because Odie's always doing something, putting something out. But like Seb has been a consultant, and then he built Cast Map on the side. And to me, I'm like, that takes a lot of, like, you got to be passionate about something, and just understand that you got to be on it, right? So it takes an energy to do that, right? You talked about it getting into this proof of work, right? So it's proof of work, putting in your proof of work. So for me, we'll call it like I'm physically like in good shape, but like the mental and being able to have the conversations, all throughout the day. There's some conversations that are draining. Most of them are, like, unless you're talking to people within Caspa. So working that in over the past couple of months, I've been able to, like, I'm in a good little groove here. And I just feel like, that's what had me yesterday. I worked on building a site on a concept and idea that Bishop and I are talking about, just based off of what we've gotten over the past, 7-8 months now that we've known each other. So I talked about it earlier on the show. I just think that there's something here, right, to build even, a more around community, and even get outside of just Caspa and just Bitcoin. It's just like, this is something that people need, man. They need it. So, like, again, how can we meet people where they're at and bridge the gap? And if Caspa Bitcoin is a solution to having them see themselves and meet people at their, what you talked about, right? Like their
Yeah.
level 10. So we have an idea and a concept around that we're going to throw out here to the community, in the next couple weeks. But I think it's beautiful, man. And yeah, like, props to Sabs for giving us credit. Is saying that, this is a part of building, right?
Yeah.
We're having we're showing up no matter what. Like, again, we've spoken about this, and it's true for us. Like, we're not here just for fucking price appreciation. Of course, it's going to be beautiful when the price does appreciate, because that's inevitable. Just like it is for Bitcoin, by the way. It's just, we speak a little bit more depth on what the protocols are and what they do and why people are in them. So, the beautiful thing is we have choice. We have choice, and we choose. We're choosing, Caspa over here,
Yeah.
because of what it can do, and its potential. So, hell yeah, man. This is fun.
No,
This is fun weekly.
it's great. And honestly, I've been overwhelmed with some information on X as well. Like there's been so many articles and posts put out. Again, like I'll be just honest. You guys can call me a fraud in the community if you want. I literally read 3 sentences and go, no, it's too much for me. And it's not from it's just not how I absorb information. So I absorb information through utility. A lot of people think they're kinesthetic learners where they have to be hands-on, but
Mhm.
I'm a blendable auditory and kinesthetic learner. Reading is, I can read, but it's not a retention of information for me. So if I have hands-on and we're talking through it, I learn it like that, man. But I have to manipulate things in order to truly understand it. When I was managing a Taco Bell, and the guy who was training me was like, "No, man, just go through the slides and read the slides, and you'll know how to do it." I'm like, I'm telling you right now, let me mess with your schedule system. I won't save anything, but let me click and play, and I'll figure it out. Again, like I spent like 3 days trying to like remember things and take notes from these slides, and it just wasn't working. I started clicking and playing with the schedule, and I was then being asked in the group about like, hey, well, how'd you do this with the schedule? How'd you do that with the schedule? It's like, so I got to play with it. So if there's nothing for me to like truly play with and spend time and truly give time, because right now I'm putting in proof of work, and up here, like you had mentioned about watching the movie, you can't lock into the movie.
Yeah.
Things I just can't lock into right now. I fully support everyone's ability to build whatever the hell they want and hope it brings so much utility to the network because it's needed. These, again, as I mentioned, like people are going to continue to fail with these other protocols because it's not going to do what they need them to. So we need these guys to build and get it done. you know?
But bro, I think you speak to like how a majority. I mean, obviously we're on here having conversations and getting into it, but that's how a majority of people are just like, well, how can I use it? You know, they're not going to think about, and it needs to be like, you know, the concept of so grandma can use it, right? That's where eventually this is what it's going to lead to, and that's what's going to have, you know, I guess the masses adopt it more. But again, speaking to like the money that's in these protocols, it's I've said it before. They're farts in the wind, bro. It's like $2.3 trillion isn't. We printed what did we print in 2020? It was like 80% of what's in circulation.
Oh yeah.
Like it was like 5 or 6 trillion. Don't quote me on that, but that's what we printed. You know, and inflated away the value of the dollar significantly over the past 5 years. So that's what a lot of people don't see. That's like going a little bit layers deep, as I've talked about several times here. Um, but yeah, man.
Now, if let's just say the American government was to purchase a mining farm, right? There's mining farms out there. Let's say they purchased a mining farm and they made it a net zero mining farm. And the
Defeats the whole purpose.
well, no, because let me see. Let me see. I get that. It defeats the purpose of crypto, but if the American dollar was backed by the proof of work cryptocurrencies that they mined, would
Okay.
that strengthen the dollar? Because the dollar was supposed to be the world currency denominator based on being gold backed, right? It's like, hey, we know the actual value of this because they have this much gold.
Yeah. So they would have
the dollars.
They would have. So you're saying like well, it would be the digital dollar, right? That's what you're speaking to. Are you speaking of like a different?
Well, so this is what I'm. So America right now issues its currency in dollars. So whatever they decide to issue their currency, it can still be paper dollars. It doesn't matter. But if it's backed by the digital assets in which they mine, not the ones they buy, but the ones they mine, would that then increase the value of the dollar? Because if they take American dollars and they buy Bitcoin, as they are, for a strategic crypto reserve, whatever the fuck that means, they've actually lost money since they bought the Bitcoin, right? Because they started buying before the dip, and whatever the accumulation's been, they've lost money on it. So therefore, the American dollar backed by that Bitcoin. So what do they even? What's the point of having the strategic crypto reserve, right? Is it to increase America's store of value to back the dollar better? Right? This is my thing about Saylor and buying all the Bitcoin. He just bought another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin today. That's supposed to strengthen the value of his company. So his company's worth more because they hold this Bitcoin. Right? So what's the point? So my thinking was America had a shit ton of gold at some point, right?
Okay.
And they got it through stealing it from their citizens.
Well, that was one. Not all of it was taken.
Hyperbole. I said this last show. I speak hyperbole.
Got it. Okay. But hey, I'm saying like that's not how they got all the gold. But yeah, in 1933 that happened.
Yeah, and that started to helped build their reserves, right?
Yes, it did.
Reserves, which then gave the value to the dollar. So if they harness some type of digital asset through net zero production, so it doesn't cost them money to harness the asset, but the asset does have value, that should give real dollar value to the dollar, right?
I think so like going back to the example of gold to see if I can tie this together and get your question, right? So like what happened so Executive Order 6102 was in 1933. Gold was priced at $20.67 an ounce. It had been at that price, if I'm not mistaken, for a long time. If not, you know, it was that price for a long time. And the reason why was that done? That was done because gold was tied to the dollar. You could redeem, right? So people came in, they redeemed their actual asset. So we'll call that the Bitcoin, I guess. And if it's like backed by Bitcoin. So back then, okay, so they did that. And then 8-9 months later, they repriced it. They just said, hey, the price of an ounce of gold is now $35 an ounce. just created out of, so all the people that had the paper fucking dollars were the ones that lost value, right? Like, so that's what it, like, let's say there's a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and like, let's say that that's the asset that backs it up. So like, we'll just take a look at Bitcoin like as if it's gold. That's all they're doing. The dollar still loses purchasing power, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they would have to reprice the Bitcoin, and that's what the Bitcoiners talk about. Like, oh, that's why they want the strategic Bitcoin reserve,
So
because then they would have to they would have to revalue the. So like, Trump said it a couple of years ago, like, oh, maybe we'll fucking get some Bitcoin and pay off the debt. Like, the debt is what's the debt? 39 trillion. That'll never be paid off.
right.
The interest on the debt right now, it's like 1.2 trillion. The interest on the debt is more than our defense budget. That's what most people don't fucking understand. Like, that is crazy. And that's only going to compound, by the way.
Yeah. See, that's
So
kind
we're
of
not,
what my question was. Is like, it would have to be mined at a net zero because you
but you want the asset.
you can't buy something to pay something off. You can't.
Yeah. So it doesn't, to me,
give you money, so you give me a thing to I give it to someone else. Go here, I bought it. It's off now.
right.
It's not how that
So,
works.
well, it kind of, again, to go down this question and this train of thought. So it doesn't strengthen the dollar. You want the asset. You want the fucking, like, in this example, you want the Bitcoin or whatever's backing the dollar, right? Because the dollars are going to buy less if they revalue the asset.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, the fiat isn't what you want. You want the actual fucking asset.
Right.
That's why
you would want the individual asset to be able to leverage for exchange.
yes.
Okay.
Because you'll get more dollars as that asset raises in, so you want, the example I always kind of give too is like an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. So it was $20.67 an ounce before it was repriced in 35. Then obviously we had that was right after World War I, and then we had World War II, Bretton Woods. The dollar becomes the world reserve currency. We default on, so gold is backed by the currency. In 1971, France is like, you guys are fucking printing way more of this than gold that you have. We want our gold back. And we're like, nah, we ain't doing that. Gangster ass Richard Nixon gets on live TV. We're gonna temporarily depeg it. Temporarily has been 56 years now. August 15th, it'll be 56 years. And that's where, I think I've referenced it before. Go to the website WTF happened 1971. Breaks down all the fucking economics, hyperinflation in the late 70s. I was born in 81. I'll share this. We lost so I had foster parents, but I didn't get my foster parents until I was like 16, 17. I divorced my parents. And a big part of the reason why, like, my community helped me out. And I remember being 16, 17 years old, being like, looking at the property records. Like, my dad had bought a house in like 90, when was it? Like 92, 90. Yeah. Cause well, whatever. He bought the house and it was like $28,000. And I'm like, shit, the mortgage was like $400. And, he worked a typical job, like not making that much money. And, obviously we defaulted on the mortgage and had the house foreclosed. But I remember at that time looking at like the price of homes, because you had to go in and see property. This is before like the internet and all these fucking sites, right? But I remember going in and seeing like, shit, houses in the 50s and 60s. Like, look at how much they've gone up even back then. And then when all this shit has gone down, it always felt, I've shared, like, I've never bought a house that I lived in, because to me, I had that experience when I was younger. And I'm like, oh, these are just savings accounts for people. This is just where people put their money, and they're like, but a house should be a house. Like, a house, it's supposed to be a commodity. Like, it's not supposed to go up in price. Like, we have people using it as savings accounts versus families actually living in it. So I always had, I made that connection when I started studying these protocols a lot more. But yeah, that in itself is a whole nother conversation, bro. So yeah, man. We're in it.
We
We're in it.
Yeah, when we built our rental perspective, that we literally said first house is for us, second house is for our kid,
Yeah.
third house is to now thrive, right? And again, like I'm gonna cash out low six figures when I do this DSCR thing that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. Like this fiat system is set up to either break through or get held down, man. And if you can figure out how to break through, I'll be honest, I tend to feel bad when I charge rent and it's 3 times what the actual mortgage is. It's like,
Yeah, and you're supposed to kind of be numb to that though, right? It's like, but you're doing what's best for your family. You're like in the system, you're doing what you have to do, right? You're doing what you have to do to protect your purchasing power. Yeah.
and then
So there's like,
I've met some people that rent, and I hear their story and I go, oh, okay, so it makes sense for you to rent. I get that, right? But when you look at the system, it's like, okay, if I've put in X amount of dollars per month for the last 10 years, and now I can take capital out and it actually gives me all that money back and I can still live at the asset, I just owe you an extra couple of dollars more a month. Well, I'll do that. But it just feels like it's all fake.
that's the thing, is the feeling, right? Like that's the thing. It's like once you get in touch with that, it's yeah.
So I think what the plan is going to be is that we do this system however it looks until we break sovereignty, right? Like what actually is going to end up happening, which is I never would have done this years ago. We're going to over leverage our positions higher than we ever thought we'd want to be. We used to look at things month to month, right? Like what's our money in, money out month to month? How do we maximize that to have the most profit possible? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go, how do we have that as close to plus $1 a month as possible? So we have the biggest cash in hand. Because the one thing we've learned through this sovereignty process is that $100,000 today, $1 million today, is going to be worth more than $1 million 2 years from now. So if you have your chance to get your hands on a shit ton of capital today, you fucking do it and you acquire assets, because
exactly.
But that fucking capital won't. The capital will not maturate at all. You have to put it in an asset. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to over leverage as much as we can our month to month money to get as much capital now to keep acquiring assets today. Because again, 10 years from now, those assets will be worth a lot more than the fiat.
They will. Yeah. Yeah. And then looking at the way the market is, and like, you remember a couple of years ago when, like you keep up with Warren Buffett, like he took out, he's holding a lot of cash right now. And I, it was when I was going deep into the Bitcoin and Kaspa, people were like, why doesn't he buy Bitcoin? And like, now it makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, because he sees the whole macro. So it's, I remember for me initially, I had bought a real estate property. I put $250,000 into it. And I felt good because I got cash flow from that. And then I learned what I learned about Bitcoin, but like didn't go deep enough yet. So I'm glad that I still have that property and that asset. But yeah, man, I think the diversification conversation makes a lot more sense to me now. And then just like looking at, the way these maximalists talk about any of these protocols, Kaspa included, it's just like, we gotta function in that other system still, so like acting like, hey, all this is I talk about like it's adopted for me in terms of how I function energetically in my life and what Kaspa represents. But I'm smart, if anything, I've learned my lessons.
Yeah.
Because I big hit, like I put a good chunk in Kaspa and Bitcoin, and it's like I experienced this from with Bitcoin from 2021 to 2024. It was at like 60 grand, and I want to say like March of 2021, and I'm like, hell yeah, I had all this cash, I just threw it in there. That shit didn't come back until 2024, bro. I didn't even look at it. I was just like, let me go out here, and at the time I didn't call it proof of work, but let me go build this business and make some money. So Yeah, man, we're still in this, like, right? And it's again, I just think talking about this and sharing real experiences, not fucking just speculating, because that's what a lot of these spaces, a lot of it, like, oh, this is what we think and what we, all it's all speculation. There's a little bit of speculation here too, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
we also speak in truth and from experience.
Well, that's the thing.
Because
We're gonna operate in proof of work, not just in our outlook when it comes to the chain or the DAG we're looking into, but in life, period. When you're looking at some of these guys who, I'll say his name once, like Rajat, right? He's he's in the financial industry, right? And he tells people to get all the way to what, zero point 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.01 Bitcoin, right? That you just get to there. But, but that's what you're considering a lottery ticket, right? Because the only reason he wants you to get there is because when it maturates, you'll thank him later. But that's zero proof of work. That is proof of stake. If you put this,
that's the whole mindset. But
yeah, and it's what do you?
that's the whole mindset behind hodling. Yeah, like that message. You know what? It's probably going to stick and be okay for most people that are just cool with where they're at. Like, oh, how much is that worth right now? Like $6,000 worth of Bitcoin? Like that's,
The last
I
time
accidentally sent, I remember when I was like learning how to move all this shit, I accidentally sent like $5,000 to a fucking, this was when I was like, let me try Solana, and I didn't send it. You know how you can send it to I think I haven't done this in years, but I think it's called a contract address. I accidentally fucking sent like $5,000 to a contract address. And at the time I was moving a shit ton of it was I also tested a bunch with Kaspa. But I was like, oh, okay. Shit. I guess that's what I have to pay for fucking learning this the hard way. You don't get that shit back.
yeah, I don't get it, man.
When it happened, I'm like, I'm glad it happened to me. There's
Yeah.
probably somebody who, like that's the way I looked at it. So,
Dude, I've fallen for scams. That was one of the first voice notes I sent you. I fell for a scam. I lost 1,000 Kaspa. Just trying to stay in the mindset of there's a lottery ticket out here.
yeah.
That this thing I won't say anything about it, but except for the fact at first glance it felt legit, and then the second I did it, I go, this isn't legit, and there was nothing I can do, and I just lost 1,000 Kas. And I realized a couple months later that wasn't proof of work. Like this, my wife asked me a little while back. She goes, "Is Kaspa gonna? Is that what's gonna do it for us? Like as far as like get us done? You know what I mean? Like we can finally
get you to the end goal." I get it. Yeah.
And she's like, "Is it gonna do it for us?" I said, "Honestly, probably. Right? Probably." But the last time I put in a full, I don't know, it was either $500 or $1,000. But the last time I actually aped in before I doing a DCA, I did it, and I literally said to myself the next day, "Well, what do I do now? I can't sit and wait."
And dude, that's
it. You can't.
Yes, there we go.
Wait, you have to proof of work, and it doesn't have to be in Kaspa. It doesn't have to be in Bitcoin, but you yourself need to proof of work. And sitting on X and arguing with other coiners does not mean you're putting in proof of work. You have to do something.
There you go.
You have to stimulate.
There you go.
You have to push yourself to the next level of what that is. We mentioned it, finding that level 10 that you have. Like you might be operating at a level 1 every day because you don't understand what your level 10 looks like. But there could be a piece of that level 10, and then you just harness that. Even if you're working on yourself, that's proof of work. But battling back and forth and calling people retards and idiots, and it's just like, I get it. For some people, that's entertainment, and that's cool. That can help you in that space, but you literally have to separate yourself. I swear, again, you guys can call me a fraud if you want. The only Kaspa stuff I do every single day is I check my push notification from Kraken to see what that number is. I don't even open the app. I couldn't tell you the last time I opened the Kraken app. I just see it and I go, dope. It went through. And then I move on with my day. But
that's an energy. That's an energy transfer. Like the way I say, not to cut you off, but it's like that's what I've seen in you over the, because you talk about what happened with your crypto journey, right? And it's, obviously Caspa is a crypto, but there's, again, I've said it several times on this show today, there's layers to this that you have to be willing to go to and look at the depths of like how this is structured and how it can benefit you. So for me, again, going back to, I have the tree of life back there for a reason. It like aligns me. I understand the 7 chakras. Everything in life is energy. Our main man Rory has spoken about that. He's out there working in the energy field. Like everything, I'm in a place of surrender in my life, and not surrender like I'm giving up, but a place of like, again, non-resistance. It's like
Yeah.
what's in front of me. So that's what I hear with you, bro. It's like, yeah, you will benefit from a protocol like Caspa and Bitcoin on its base layer if you hold it and you understand that it's not just about it going up in nominal terms. Like you got to go put in work. And what can you put in work? Is some people can afford to go ahead and spend all their time, building on Caspa. We're not completely there. So we're going to put in, this show that we do on Mondays and give you our energy, but we're operating in the energy of this protocol. That's what we're doing. It's like you DCAing, it's like a little piece of your fucking output is being put into a protocol that you didn't have to ask permission for, is decentralized and secure, bounded by energy. So that right there is like there's not a lot of people speaking on energetically what that does for you. And I am a testament to what it means when like you store, that I've had some Bitcoin since 2017. Somebody paid me in it. And I do think that I benefited. You may think I'm woo woo or crazy for thinking that way, but it's like I had that as a store of my value, and it was just like sitting in the background. I didn't really look at it, but I think that's why I put people on wallets, man, because I'm like, I'm just glad that person put me on a that he sent me Bitcoin in 2017, because would I be here? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm still out there hustling and grinding. You know how I feel about those words.
No,
I'm not doing that.
No, they strip your sovereignty for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm being alive in every moment that I can be alive. And if I'm in a primal state, which is like feeling sorry for myself, I get myself out of it pretty quickly. I'll do some push-ups. And I kind of felt it at the beginning of the stream. I'm like, okay, let's, and then I get upside down, do a little headstand, get the blood flowing, So we're here just trying to figure it out, man. We're here just figuring it out. And what we are is just, we're gonna, like you've talked about, we're gonna speak on truth and let you guys know what it is for us. And we're gonna keep showing up to this weekly.
And for anyone who's new to the show and the audience here, request to speak and speak your truth. Any questions, comments, concern, we always open up the back half of the show to the audience to see how they live on the Kaspa standard. Any questions for two common guys who tend to, again, look for truth and just operate. We got one.
Well, like Odie wrote this 13 minutes ago. We should, so he wrote, the U.S. could print 35 trillion, pay off the debt, which is valued in American dollars. Then watch the currency inflate to zero, honestly. Nice. That would fucking destroy so many people, bro.
But it's
also just not gonna. That would be like what happened in, what, you familiar with Weimar Germany, with the franc, like before so this is like in the 1920s. Are you familiar with that story? Like how they hyperinflated away yeah, man, it's like literally people would sit down to have dinner and, let's call it, I'll just give the example in dollars. It was like as if, okay, this meal costs $10, but by the end of dinner, it was like $120 for the dinner. Like that's how fucking quickly they were printing money and just thinking that was going to solve all the problems. And it just like they inflated away and to the point where it was worthless. And there were kids on the street playing with fucking, the paper money.
So all right. So let me give you my I hate capitalism spiel. Okay. So capitalism has, so oil, let's say oil, right? America could pay down the debt if the United States government went and drilled oil themselves. And they took that oil and they sold that oil, not necessarily to American companies, but let's say for the foreign trade that we do. So pay down some of the debt. Here's some of that oil. Here you go. Right. But what happens is they go, here's an oil contract, BP, and here's a tax deduction on it. And of that, maybe give us some money back. And I'm curious why in the nature in which we operate, that there isn't more United States government produced goods to trade with other countries, instead of them having to be filtered through the capitalism structure that we have, right? Because that's where a lot of, let's say, wasted money comes from. It's like there's these layers in which we
what is the alternative to that though, right? Like,
so if BP's drilling oil, right? So not only that, we have oil reserves too. Like, they're just fucking sitting there, and they can enter the marketplace. We'll be fine.
So like, why don't you think they're entering? I'm
price manipulation. Because capitalism's better. The crony capitalism. So that's why.
There we go. The crony.
The crony capitalism is don't interject the oil reserves to the market so these companies can make more money. That's the crony capitalism. But if the United States oil reserve that doesn't get interjected into the market was used for trading with these other countries that we owe money to, then we could decrease the debt dollar for dollar based off that barrel of oil. I don't know, in my opinion. But yeah, I just don't think so. I don't want America to put farmers out of business, but if the United States of America plot of land that grows soybean oil and trades it, or grows soybean and trades it to China or whatever the fuck, trades corn to China, like if they're the ones with the land that does that, and the American farmers produce corn for the American people, BP produces oil for the American people, not for trade within America to fucking, Israel, whatever the fuck. Like, I find there's so many different layers that America not being the ones to build goods is kind of the issue. Like, that's where I see.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
You know what I'm saying? Because like in other, the country itself is a part of building the asset that then gets traded. I'm not necessarily.
China, So that's what we haven't done for a long time. Like our export is the dollar.
Right.
Like that's what we export.
Right.
But the proof of work is done by everybody else.
Right. And it's
then
it's red tape.
And your question is like, why don't we put in? Well, why would you do anything if you have money and you're fat and you're sitting up there and you're saving? I mean, that's human nature, right? Yeah. Like most people don't want to fucking go and do any work, bro. Like that's
I made it. They decided to tax.
It's a reflection of the culture. Most people aren't like, oh, I got all this money. Like, okay, I work for this money. Let me figure out why I made this money. Like most people don't have an epiphany. Like that's how it was for me. I didn't come from it, So like,
America is
I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm just saying like that's the mindset, and like when you get comfortable, I think we're just too comfortable. Like especially the wealthy.
Right? And that's the problem with crony capitalism. Because as a country, you should solidify your infrastructure to take care of your people, as opposed to continue.
But when you say as a country, this is where like for me it's just like what as a country. Okay, so that's us, people, right? And look at the government is like run by people though. We put those people in there by voting, right?
Correct.
So my whole thing is the system in itself, like thinking that so right there you're not sovereign. You're giving your power to some person who you believe in and you think is but as soon as money comes into it in that system, like humans are humans, they're gonna do what's best for them every fucking time, like no matter what. So that's why for me, it's like even entertaining the conversation of like, why don't they do that? That it's the same. I've lived my life in a way that more mirrors proof of work. And this is why these protocols resonate with me, right? And why it makes sense to like store my energy, move my energy to it. So it's like, when have I been the most peaceful in my chaos? Is like when I take autonomy and responsibility for everything in my life.
Yeah.
So I think we outsource too much of that to government. Government ideally was supposed to work for us, but we have proof of what it does when you outsource that power, and
Yeah.
you depend on somebody else to do something for you. Right? We're clearly seeing what happens. The people that benefit are the ones. I mean, humans are corruptible, man. Like, and once they're comfortable, they're comfortable. Like most fucking, I've been around some wealthy people, bro. Most of them are just like that, especially when you're handed money. Like, what happens there? Like, a lot of this generation didn't work for it. They didn't fucking
Yeah, I don't give that thought that I have power to prevent me from operating, but
Yeah.
I don't like to not mention it because I feel like, I mean, look, I truly believe it's only going to get worse. But
I think it has to.
yeah, but I do have to throw out my positive spin of what I think it could be. So that's kind of where I put my head with that, is that it'd be great. It'd be great to have some type of perspective that finds a way to come back to the people to uh, within the, again, because we speak about it, right? You have to put in the proof of work on the hamster wheel to make our hamster wheel feel more efficient and more fruitful. As you mentioned, back in the 50s and the 60s, we've said it on the show before. That chart that came out that said the amount of 30-year-olds that owned property in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, it was as much as 50%. Now it's at an all-time low of like less than 10%. But also you can buy that property. My grandfather bought his house. I think it was $50,000 for 13% on his mortgage. Him and my grandmother had 4 children. Okay. And not only are people not buying houses at 30, it's also the lowest rate of reproduction.
Yeah.
It's been. So not only are people unable to afford houses, they also can't afford families. And that's where I mean is like, I get it. The system is where it is and it's doing that. I would prefer they find a way to make it look more like it did back then, to where people could feel confident in acquiring an asset and building families. Because at the end of the day, you would rather find a way to take care of your family than just keep panicking that you can't take care of yourself.
To me though, that's why sovereignty and understanding there's protocols that we can move to. Like it's too far gone. It's too far gone. Like, to me, that's like wishful thinking.
That's fair.
It's wishful thinking. Like, if you study and look at how long this has been perpetuating, they'll probably figure out how to, extend this. But people have been talking like, how can this continue? And it continues because we continue to just give our fucking sovereignty. Nobody cares about sovereignty. For those people that fucking care, you hear people talk about, like these Bitcoin maxis that you see the posts, like for the 1% to 2% that cares, because nobody fucking knows what it is. Nobody has experienced that in their lives. Like, people aren't speaking to it. Like, they don't want to take responsibility for accidentally sending $5,000 to a contract address. Like, I took responsibility. That's my fucking fault.
Yeah.
Most people are like, how do I get my money back? How do I do that? Like, that mirrors the people in their life, but $5,000 is a lot of money to most people. And I'm not saying it's nothing, but compared to the amount that I've been able to generate in my life, it's not the end of my life. It's not the end of the world. So everything's perspective. And I think, it's just like, we have an opportunity to educate people on a different outlook, a different lens to look through the world in. Find your sovereignty, the approach, right? Like, not look out there, inside out. Like, we have an opportunity to look from the inside out. It starts with you, spreads to your family, the people in your family. And then, then you can go out there. And then I gotta point this out, bro. Cause like, can you pull it up? Can you like click the comments there? Look, we gotta,
not from
you
the
can't on Twitter, not from the spaces. Okay.
Yeah.
Cause Rosario, like where he's at right now, listening to us, he put up a picture there of Yeah, can you see it?
Well, I'll have to. Nope, that's the wrong one. So what I'll do is I will. Let me do this. Okay, because I would just want to hide my feed because it's in my DMs, so I can go into the comments now. Or you know what? Post it, pin it to the thing. If you pin it,
okay. If I pin it, it'll show.
Well, if you pin it, I can click on it and it can.
Yeah, I haven't pinned anything in a while.
That's all right. Let's see here. I will bang and then do this. There we go.
That's one of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's him. That's Rosario chilling on Rosario Island. But check out the view.
Let me see.
Go back to the. There we go. That's the one. That's the one. That reminds me of 888 a little bit.
Look at that.
It's beautiful.
Over the Atlantic, is that what that says there? And then in Italian as well. That's gorgeous, man.
Yeah. That's where we're gonna be hanging one day, Rosario Island.
Hell yeah. Oh, look at that. That's better. There's a nice view of the Kaspa future. Everyone in this space will end up there. That's for sure.
At some point, yep. Party it up.
Fuck yeah. And to be honest, with a view like that, what kind of party do you even need? You know?
It's a party in itself. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Just a chair with your feet up. As long as the beverage is cold, it could be water, it could be beer, it could be bourbon, it could be anything.
I have to throw back some bourbon, even though I don't, do that often. I would have to do that with you guys.
That's gorgeous. I feel like I'm there right now.
I am there right now.
You always are.
We're already there.
Always are. Well, shit, man. That's about 2 hours with no love. Where's everybody at?
People are working, man. Putting in their proof of work. Put in that proof of work.
The show. Are you kidding me? We've had tons of love. Comments from YouTube and X. Helpful technical difficulties figured out. Some reposting comments on the X Spaces. I mean, this has been beautiful, man. Another great version of Live on the Kaspa Standard for sure.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I mean, hey, if no one wants to hop up and speak, I think we can do a smooth 2 today. We've gone 3 and change before, and thinking that there was going to be more after, but a nice smooth 2 on a Monday in the middle of April. Get back to the proof of work.
Let's do it. I am too, man. We're good. We'll be back.
Great. Nah, hell yeah. All right. Well, shit, guys. Let me run through it. We are live on the Kaspa Standard. This has been episode 25. I'm Bishop at LOTKS.kas. That's Juan at Glitch888. We were live on X Spaces over at Glitch888. We're live on X Video, live on the Kaspa. YouTube.com/live on the Kaspa Standard. v4.xyz/channel/LOTKS. Check out the episode description to click some links to support the show. If you want to send us an energy exchange donation, we have LOTKS.kas and live on the Standard.kas. And just a quick programming note. I did record my WrestleMania preview episode, but in my podcasting and computer smoothing out to clear up some memory, I don't know what I did with my files. So I don't have my intros that I put on there, and I really don't want to put it up without the intros. So I got to figure that out. I got to finish editing, and I will be posting my WrestleMania preview show, and that's on the Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast, audio only. So just really just follow me at LOTKS.kas, and you'll get the link to the show when I put it out. But it's also on all podcast platforms if you search Terrible Wrestling Takes. So sorry I had to put in there that personal plug there, my friend. But yeah, that's been episode 25 of Live on the Kaspa Standard. My friend and partner Juan, take it away.
Yeah, man. I want to shout this out. I kind of mentioned it very briefly, but Bishop and I are putting something together. We talked a lot about like vibing in your level 10, so it's going to be centered around that. And when it's ready, I'll definitely, announce it and give more information. But I'm excited about what we're putting together. So
Awesome.
be on the lookout for that. And a reminder, man, Kaspa is vibrating at the frequency of truth seekers, and the truth is catching on. Be humble, be kind, and give it time. Love each and every single one of you. We'll see you next week on episode 26, for those of you that don't speak Spanish. 26. We'll see you.
Peace. Thank you. Much love to all.